How do you make 7 figures a year? I keep getting this question from you guys, so I'm going to talk more about it. My wish is your command. In this video, I'm going to cover 4 things that you must do if you want to get your income to literally 7 figures a year, which means you're making an income of $1 million USD or more. Many years ago, when I was a young man, I went to a business conference, and sitting across the table was a guy who made, and he said this, and I was surprised at the time, he made $3 million a year. And I was shocked that a human being can actually make that much money. That wasn't his net worth. That was his income. His net take-home income was $3 million. That completely opened my eyes back then to the amount of income that you can make as long as you put your mind to it and put in the effort. Today, I work with a guy who makes approximately $27, $28 million a year, and he just works 3 days a week. Yeah. I also work with another guy who makes high 7 figures, and on a regular basis, he takes an entire week off. And when I say takes a week off, he doesn't even check his email. He doesn't make a single business phone call. He literally takes the entire week off. He does that all the time. He makes high 7 figures. I'm not going to tell you how much money I make because I don't like to do that, but you can guess as to whether or not I make 7 figures myself. So here are the 4 things you can do to make 7 figures if you're actually ready to do this, and it's going to take some work and sacrifice. Just be aware of this. By the way, I did a full kind of deep dive on this, on my experience getting up to these income levels. You can watch that video here. It was a live stream I did. Number 1, top of the list, you must be patient. And that's probably the hardest one in the modern era. In the modern era today, you have lots of people, millennials and Gen Z in particular, who want $1 billion, trillion. They want it right now. They don't want to wait 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. They don't want to do that. They want it right now, or they think it's bullshit. If you want to make the big income, if you want to make 7 figures, I'm sorry, it's going to take some time. It's going to take years and years and years and years of hard work. Now, the good news is this. That doesn't mean if it takes you 10 years, for example, that you toil for 10 years and make no money in 10 years and suddenly you get $1 million. That's usually not how it works. Your income will go up over time. You'll make 50,000, then 100,000, then 140,000, then 200,000, then 500,000. So it's not like you're making zero money until you get to the $1 million a year. You'll be making plenty of money on the way to getting to your 7 figures. At least that's what I experienced. And based on what I know of other people, that's what they experience as well. But the bottom line is, it's going to take many years of decently hard work. If you're not willing to be patient, if you're not willing to put in the time, years and years and years of hard work, then this probably is not a goal you should set. You should probably just settle for the sovereign CEO minimum of $85,000 a year US per year, location independent. And let me be clear about that. There are many of you in my audience who have no desire to make 7 figures, and that's fine, provided you're making at least $85,000 a year location independent income. If you are not making $85,000 a year, that is pre-tax net profit in US dollars, okay? And that income is 100% location dependent, you're in big trouble. We are living in the middle of a collapsing civilization. You can't fart around anymore. You need to make at least that. So please don't use the excuse of, well, I don't want to make $1 million a year, therefore I'll just keep making my $22,000 a year. No, your minimum is $85,000 a year. And if you don't want to make any more than that, that's fine. That's your decision. That's okay. But you can't make less than that long term or else you're fucked. Number 2, you have to work hard. However, when people say work hard, they don't understand what that means. Let me explain what that means in more specific language. Working hard means you are sacrificing important parts of your personal life. There are things you're going to really want to do in your personal life you won't be able to do. You will have to sacrifice relationships with women, dating relationships, girlfriend relationships. You're going to have to delay getting married for those of you who are really hot to trot to get married. You're going to have to strongly delay having children, if you ever have children at all. You're going to have to delay recreational activities. I've said before, it has been 2.5 years since I've played a video game. And I love playing video games. I'm a nerd. I was playing video games before many of you, most of you actually watching this video, were even born. That's a big part of my life, and it's been 2.5 years since I've even touched a video game. I have sacrificed that part of my personal life, at least for a while, because I want to get to the big money. For some of you, that might mean travel. For some of you, that might mean hanging out with your buddies down at the bar. For some of you, that might mean watching Netflix or YouTube videos. For some of you, that might mean smoking weed. For some of you, that might mean spending time with your family. I don't know what personal life means to you, but I know it means something to you, and you're going to have to sacrifice this for a while, as in possibly several years, for you to get to the big income. If you want to make just $85,000 a year, you don't have to sacrifice very much of that, not really. But if you want to get to $1 million a year, you must And I mean this, you must be willing to sacrifice big swaths of your personal life. And if you're not willing to do that, don't worry about this goal. Go back to your 85K a year, and that's okay. Now, here's the slight good news. You can delay these things, not put them off forever. If you want to make $1 million a year, does that mean you can never play a video game ever again for the rest of your life? No. Once you hit those income levels and you outsource and do all the things I talk about here at Sovereign CEO, Alpha 2.0 business model, etc., then yes, you can certainly play video games once you hit your income goals. Trust me, I plan on starting to play video games at some point relatively soon in my life. Not now, not yet. I'm not done making the money I want to make, but I will again. Don't worry about that. It's not like you're putting these things off forever. You're putting them off for a while. That also applies to things like settling down with a woman, having kids. You can certainly do those things once you hit the big income levels. And I've talked about several celebrities at my content who did exactly this. Guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger, guys like Jim Rogers, guys like Matthew McConaughey. There's lots of guys who waited into their 40s to settle down and have kids because they wanted to make sure they hit their big goals in life first. Smart. One of the things I screwed up on when I had kids when I was 25 because I was stupid and a beta male and didn't know what the hell I was doing back then. Item number 3 to make a 7-figure income is that you will have to regularly do in your work life things that work, not things you want to do. There is a big difference. If you are very, very picky and you only want to do the exact type of work that you like to do at pretty much all times, you will never make a 7-figure income. The only people who make a 7-figure income are those guys who do the things necessary in their business life, in their work life, that work that may be things you don't like doing. For me to get to the income level of where I used to be, which is about $100,000 a year, to the income level I am at now, which is many multiples of that, I had to do various things in my business life that I wasn't very excited about, that I personally didn't like, but I had to do them because the things that I wanted to do were not the things that would get me to the 7 figures and beyond. They just weren't. And I promise you, that's going to be true with you. I know my audience. A lot of you are very picky, persnickety guys who like to do exactly what you want to do and don't want to do anything different. If that's you, you should probably not worry about this goal and stick with your 85K a year, which is perfectly fine. You're going to have to do things in your business like construct certain offerings that you're not super excited about. You're going to have to do things in your business like spend time doing certain things you're not excited about. You're going to have to do a lot of marketing and or sales that you may not like doing. You're going to have to spend a lot of money on certain things that you don't want to spend a lot of money on. You also have to spend a lot of money, here's another one, spend a lot of money and time and effort on various aspects of your business that you have to deal with as your business grows and scales. I hate spending time with attorneys and bookkeepers and accountants. I hate that stuff, but as your business grows, to get that 7-figure income level, you're going to have to spend more time doing that stuff. And if you absolutely hate doing that, you're not going to get to the big money. I have said on prior videos, the only 2 types of men who are going to survive and thrive in this dark age collapsing era in which we have entered for the next at least 30 years are men who are wealthy, which means you have a net worth of at least $10 million US, or men who are what? Hyper flexible. And being hyper flexible in your work life is a component, unfortunately, of getting to those big income dollars. As a matter of fact, and I've discussed this on many prior videos and podcasts, one of the biggest reasons, if not the biggest reason, that I make a lot more money from people I compete with or used to compete with throughout my business career in all the different businesses I've been involved in is because I chose to do the things that were harder that I didn't necessarily want to do, but these guys didn't want to do them because they didn't want to do them. And so they were stuck making the small money and I made the big money. Number 4, you have to be full stack. What does that mean? That's something that came out of the engineering space. And that means that you can't just have one skill set to get to a 7-figure income. If you do one thing in business pretty well, like you're really good at sales, or maybe you're really good on video, or maybe you're really good at writing, or something like that, if you do one thing well, you can get easily to the $85,000 a year level. That's not a big deal. But if you want to get to the $1 million a year level, you have to be full stack. You have to be good at several different areas in business instead of just one. So there are guys who are really good at advertising and terrible at everything else. You're never going to get to $1 million this way. You have to be good at not just advertising, but other forms of marketing, sales, managing staff, managing other human beings. A lot of you guys hate that. You'll have to be good at managing money, managing finances, profit and loss statements, balance sheets, things like that. You'll have to be good at operations, SOPs, standard operating procedures, operations manuals, various things like that. You'll have to be good at making decisions, strategic decisions, changing when you need to change. That's a big aspect of why I make the money I make today. I've changed Over the years, I always keep changing to make sure I'm updated with the times, economic times, the trends, the societal programming, the collapse of the West, all these things I use as data to find out where to go. You'll be good at many different things, not just one or two, if you want to get to the 7-figure income level. And by the way, these things are all learnable. You can learn all these things. It's not like you can't learn how to read a profit and loss statement. It's not like you can't learn how to manage people. You can. I did. It's not that tough. I'm saying you have to do that if you want to get to the big money. If you want more detail on my journey to my high income and exactly what I went through, what I experienced, I did a live stream, as I mentioned earlier. You can watch that video right here, and I'll see you in that video.